What's up everyone? It's Flynn Patrick once again, and in this video we will be going over the top 10 most underrated players in NBA 2K19. First of all, congratulations to Mr. Anthony for winning a free copy of NBA 2K19. He won the drawing that 4 people entered. Make sure to contact me as soon as possible so we can get that free copy of NBA 2K19 right to you. Anyways, we'll be making 2K videos soon enough, but in this video, I looked through all of the players' ratings on NBA 2K, and I have come up with the top 10 players who I think are the most underrated players on NBA 2K19 right now. I think when it comes to all of the players overall, I'd give 2K a B. I don't think they did a terrible job overall, but there are some players who stand out to me who I think should have been ranked higher, and in this video we are going to go over those players. Let's get right to it. So at number 10 we have a tie because they're on the same team and they have the same rating, ironically, and I also had them ranked pretty close on my top 120 players list. One of them I had ranked number 49 in the NBA last year, and another I had ranked number 54. So my number 10 spot for the most underrated players on NBA 2K19 goes to Ricky Rubio and Joe Ingles of the Utah Jazz. They are both ranked 79 on the low end of the top 100 players in NBA 2K19. They did crack the top 100 players on the initial ratings, but I do think that both of these players should have been ranked higher. Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell both got pretty healthy ratings, but I think these are two players who were absolute stud muffins for the Jazz last year. Joe Ingles had the best season of his career and was an absolute shooting force. I think Ricky Rubio very low-key had the best season of his career as well, having by far the best offensive season of his career and showing progression in the area of shooting, and I had him ranked as a top 50 player in the NBA last year. I get that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are the two players that are leading this Jazz team. That being said, I think that the supporting cast with Rubio, Joe Ingles, Derek Favors, and Jay Crowder can't leave them out, but I think specifically these two players should at least be in the 80s. I think 79 is a little bit too low for them. So they're both ranked a 79. I would have ranked them an 82. I get that they aren't the top scoring option or leading the team, but they both low-key had very, very impressive seasons last year, and I think that this is underrating them. I think that they should have been at least an 82. My number 9 most underrated player in NBA 2K19 is going to be Thaddeus Young of the Indiana Pacers. You'll notice a little bit of trend with these next couple of players because a lot of them are role players who played crucial parts on playoff teams last year. That being said, those players don't always get the most love in 2K, which focuses a lot on flashy parts of a player's game. I get that, it's understandable, but I do think some of these players were ranked too low. Specifically Thaddeus Young, who is ranked a 78 on the game. Not terrible, but also outside of the top 100 NBA players in NBA 2K19, whereas I had Thaddeus Young ranked as the number 63 player in the NBA last year, and low-key was one of the more underrated defensive players in all of the NBA. He's not a flashy player, but just watching Indiana Pacers games last year and talking to their fans, he was an absolutely crucial part in Indiana's success. When he was on the floor, Indiana pretty much always did better. He's a 10+ year veteran, and he is still doing his thing. Again, I had him ranked number 63 in the NBA last year, whereas NBA 2K has him outside of the top 100 NBA players. I understand he's not a flashy player, but he is one of the more underrated defensive players in the NBA and was an absolutely crucial part in Indiana's success. So he was ranked a 78. I think he should have been ranked about an 81. I don't think he should be ranked any higher than that, and again, this isn't the worst miscarriage of justice I've ever seen. That being said, I do think Thaddeus Young should have been ranked minimum an 80. My number 8 most underrated player in NBA 2K19 is going to be PJ Tucker of the Houston Rockets. Again, another role player, very, very unique player, basically a 6'5" power forward. He was the low-key defensive star for Houston last year. I had him ranked as the number 67 player in the NBA for 2017-2018. A 76 is just way too low in my opinion. I don't think it was the worst ranking in the world, but I think this one is pretty bad. I think a 76 is way too low for PJ Tucker. I believe that he was the X factor for Houston last year. He was their best perimeter defender, I would say. He hit open shots when needed. The team did better when he was on the floor. He had a positive impact overall. And honestly, I'm not even saying he should be ranked an 80. I get that his game isn't necessarily suitable for a high 2K rating, but I think a 76 is a little bit disrespectful as well. I think minimum he should have been ranked a 78. I would have ranked him about a 79. Again, I get that his game isn't suitable for a 2K rating that's high. I'm not even saying he should have been ranked in the 80s, but I think a 76 is way too low, especially looking at the other players that are ranked around this range. I think PJ Tucker should have been a 79 at least. My number 7 most underrated player in NBA 2K19 is going to be Kyle Korver of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Quite simply, a 75 is way too low for Kyle Korver. I get that he's getting older, and I get that he's getting into his late 30s. That being said, he showed no signs of slowing down on the offensive end last year. Now, could he slow down this year? Okay, sure. But he showed nothing last year to where he should be a 75 overall, especially when you look at players who are ranked 76 and 77, and some of these players who are ranked above Kyle Korver. That is just absolutely absurd. This is still one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. I had him ranked as the number 87 player in the NBA last year. Besides LeBron James and Kevin Love, he's really the only player who showed up worth a darn in the playoffs. And I think that Kyle Korver being ranked as 75 is an absolute travesty of justice. Kyle Korver being ranked as 75 is an absolute tragedy. This is absolutely ridiculous. Again, I get that he's getting older and 2K sort of projects how they're gonna do this upcoming season, but I really think Kyle Korver should have been a minimum 78, if not 79. The 75 is just way too low, and that is absolutely ridiculous. Kyle Korver absolutely should not have the same rating as Chandler Parsons does on this game. That is absurd. My number 6 most underrated player in NBA 2K19 is going to be Terry Rozier of the Boston Celtics. Terry Rozier cracked our list at number 51 on the top 120 NBA players of 2017-2018. He absolutely showed up in the playoffs, making a big name for himself. And his initial 2K rating for 2K19 is a 79. I think this is too low. I think with Terry Rozier's playoff performance, again, I get that he didn't show up in Game 7 versus the Cavaliers, but this is a guy who was a big-time name in Boston, had Drew Bledsoe talking, had the whole city of Boston talking, was an emotional leader, with Kyrie Irving out, showed that he is going to be one of the best second string point guards, if not the best second string point guard in all of the NBA, and I think he should be higher than a 79. I somewhat understand because Kyrie Irving is coming back, and again, I get that 2K is somewhat projecting how they are going to do this upcoming season. That being said, I think that Terry Rozier absolutely should have been ranked in the 80s. I think this is underrating him. I think Terry Rozier should have been at least an 81, if not an 82. I personally think he should have been about an 82, but minimum he should have been an 81. And I think Terry Rozier being a 79 is absolutely too low. My number 5 most underrated player in NBA 2K19 is going to be Rajon Rondo of the Los Angeles Lakers, starting off the season at a 79. I had him ranked as the number 39 player in the NBA last year. His playoff performance was absolutely exceptional for that Pelicans team. I think that Rajon Rondo absolutely should have been ranked higher than a 79. I get that Lonzo's the long-term point guard. I'm a big fan of Lonzo Ball, but I think that based on how Rajon Rondo played in the playoffs and to finish the season, I think he should have been about an 82 instead. I think besides Terry Rozier, Rajon Rondo absolutely made the biggest jump in my overall ranking due to his playoff play. I think that he played so well for the Pelicans in the playoffs. I don't think he should have been ranked at 79, and I think he should have been ranked higher than Lonzo Ball to start the 2K season. I think Rajon Rondo should have been ranked minimum 82, if not 83, but I'll go with 82. I think he should have been ranked in 82 at least. For my number 4 most underrated player in NBA 2K19, we have another tie because they were ranked similar on my top 120 list. They have the same rating in NBA 2K19, and I think that they are both criminally underrated. The tie for number 4 is going to go to Robert Covington and Dario Saric, both of the Philadelphia 76ers, both ranked at 79 overall. I had Dario ranked number 53 and Robert Covington ranked number 58 on my top 120 players of 2017-2018. I get that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are leading this Philadelphia 76ers team, but I feel that both of these players should have been ranked in the 80s. I think that both of them, instead of being a 79, should have been ranked about an 82. I think that Dario Saric showed that his offensive game is rapidly improving. I think that he will continue to progress and continue to make a name for himself in the 2018-2019 season. Robert Covington is absolutely the X factor for that Philadelphia 76ers team that made the Eastern Conference semifinals, a defensive monster who can come up with good offensive scoring nights and generally helps his team out when he is on the floor. I think both of these players should have been ranked about an 82, if not an 83 instead of a 79. Now for the top 3 most underrated players in NBA 2K19, I think these 3 players were by far the most underrated players on this game to start the 2K season, and I think that these 3 players being ranked where they are at is absolutely absurd and absolutely ridiculous. Let's get right to it. My number 3 most underrated player on NBA 2K19 is going to be Jrue Holiday of the New Orleans Pelicans, being ranked an 85 overall. I think Jrue Holiday is criminally underrated. I get that he's not in the national spotlight, but I think the 2K developers should have looked at him a little more. 85 is a good rating. I'm not saying it's not a good rating, but this is a player who I had ranked as the number 16 player in the NBA last year. He had low-key his best season of his career. I personally thought he was the most underrated player in the NBA. I get that he's a low-key player and I get that he's not a national name, but he absolutely put up numbers last year. He showed up in the playoffs. He played consistent. He had the best season of his career, and I think him being ranked in 85 is simply too low, especially considering some of the players that are ranked above him. I think Jrue Holiday should have been a minimum 87, and I personally think he really is an 88 type player based on how he played last season, but minimum he should have been an 87. My number 2 most underrated player on NBA 2K19 is going to be Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors. I think Draymond Green being ranked an 87 is simply too low. Now this is going to be an opinion that a lot of people disagree with me on. Yeah, I get that Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry lead that Golden State Warriors team, but I think Draymond Green once again showed up in the playoffs, once again showed that he is the X factor for that Golden State Warriors team. He has now won 3 NBA rings. He has shown that he has a winning pedigree. I think an 87 is way too low for him. I think Draymond Green should have been an 89 at least, if not a 90. Really, I personally think Draymond Green is a 90 type player. To be fair, I don't think he is any higher than that just because of his role on that Golden State Warriors team. But looking at what is, I think an 87 is just way too low. I think Draymond Green should have been a 90 on NBA 2K19 to start off. And finally, my number 1 most underrated player on NBA 2K19 is going to be Victor Oladipo of the Indiana Pacers. I think him being an 88, being ranked as the number 24 overall player in the game behind a player like Gordon Hayward, who didn't even play last year, is absolutely absurd. He single-handedly led this Indiana Pacers team to the playoffs, nearly upsetting the LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers. I get that he plays for a small market team, but him being ranked an 88 overall and the number 24 player in the NBA is absolutely absurd. I had him ranked as the number 12 player in the NBA last year. I think based on how Victor Oladipo played, he absolutely should have been a 90 overall. An 88 overall is completely lowballing him. That is too low of a rating for this stud muffin. Thank you so much for watching this video. We are going to be doing more and more content as we get into the NBA season. We are also going to do a top 10 most overrated players on NBA 2K19. That will be coming up within the next couple of days. We will be doing NBA 2K19 content. I'm just getting some things situated, but I'm really excited to do that. And we will also be doing, of course, a lot of NBA content, especially more and more as the NBA season is approaching. I'm super excited. We are exiting out of the offseason finally. There are a lot of exciting things coming in the NBA and on Basketball Infinite. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Flynn Patrick, and we will be back with more content shortly.